my name is Cinsy. Welcome to my YouTube video. I'm doing a little selfie situation before we go on to the main video. I just wanted to show you my desk area because it's so bright and cute and pretty because it's snowing outside. And I literally haven't seen snow for maybe like 4 or 5 years here. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to show you the snow and how much light it's bringing to my desk area. Okay, onto the main video. Today I wanted to teach you how to make more plants. I mean, my collection is definitely growing, but a nice cheap way of making your collection grow as well is to take cuttings. One of my favourite things to do is definitely to cut my plants. It's a habit. I just love that I can make more of them. So once I see that there's an opening to cut more and just make more plants, I'm just not letting my plants thrive and be big enough. You can see my coffee table is a little bit full right now, so I've just pulled out some plants that I thought it would be good to show you how to make some cuttings, because there's various different ways for different plants. I'm going to start off with this. This is my Coleus China Rose, which, as you can see, the colour is like amazing. It was so big and like round. I cut it like a big round ball, but I had a serious case of thrips in the summer, so I basically had to cut this one all the way back. Yeah, so I've let it regrow, and I've kind of just thought, actually I'm gonna cut it all the way down again, just because it's just really gappy and really bald in the middle. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to make cuttings first, because this one is the most easiest and most quickest to root. First, you need your trusted scissors. Make sure that they're clean and washed. Okay, so you basically want to make sure that you leave enough space for it to root. I'm actually going to go kind of crazy on this one and just kind of chop it all the way down like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna have them sit in some water. Okay, so basically I kind of just want to cut off the bottom leaves so that it has enough space for it to grow roots. When a cutting has too many leaves, because there's no roots, there's no energy for it to focus on growing its roots, because it's still trying to keep the leaves alive. So you kind of want to just make sure that your bottom set are just cut off so that it can just focus on these leaves here at the top. Like, don't have too many. So yeah, so there's more chance of your cutting to survive. Oh, the big trim is really going. I'm gonna leave some leaves on this plant just so that she obviously will survive. God, she's so bald now. This plant actually grew from like a single cutting, literally from one of these, and they're such a fast grower, so it really didn't take long. I think I've had this for about 3 years. As they grow older, you can see that the stem actually becomes more woody, more tree-like. Okay, we'll move that aside. We've made our cuttings and we literally just put them straight into water and make sure that they're warm and get plenty of light. And you just wait a few weeks and let them root. Right, I'm gonna put that to the side. So this is my pink begonia. I just took a cutting like I did with the Coleus. Here's what I made earlier. So basically, I had her sitting in water and we finally have some roots showing. I wouldn't really pot her up when the roots are so small like this. So I would wait until the root situation is kind of looking something like this. Kind of crazy, you know that it's going to live, and it can definitely be transported from water to soil. You can pretty much do this with all aeroids like philodendrons, monsteras, and I have a monstera that I can actually show you. It's just in this vase. So I have a big cheese plant in my conservatory and it just started growing new baby shoots. This was actually a long stem that was rotting here. but it also had this aerial root, so I put it straight in water, and then we have loads of roots. You can definitely make cuttings and put it in water, or you can have it in sphagnum moss, which is what I've done here. So this is my no-node cutting, if you remember, where it just had 2 roots. I've decided to put it in moss because I thought, well, it's not doing too much in water now. And actually, it has grown new roots right in the base, which I'm really happy about. If you're growing it in sphagnum moss, there's also less chance that it will rot because there's more aeration for oxygen to get to. And this cutting of my variegated monstera actually has a lot of roots, which is, I think it's definitely ready to pot now, which I just haven't been able to do yet. The root system here is a lot. I actually didn't root this from water. I used a technique called air layering, and I will teach you about that because it's a much safer technique to root your plants and making sure that they will definitely survive. I'll show you an example of what I did with my monstera cutting. So I'll use this aerial root here, and you can kind of see that there is actually a small root growing already from the aerial roots just because there's so much moisture in the air. If you ignore that there's already roots on there, I would cover the aerial root itself with sphagnum moss and make sure that it's moist and quite wet to encourage the aerial root to grow more roots. And then I would wrap it with cling film to keep the moisture in so you're not constantly having to water the moss. And I would leave it there for quite a while until you see quite a lot of roots growing. So maybe like 3 to 4 weeks. So obviously there'll be a stem from the bottom, but I've already cut this off. So I'll show you an example from my pink princess using the same air layering technique. So I've got 2 different pink princesses growing on this one stem. Air layering is definitely a much safer way because it's still attached to the plant, but I can grow individual roots on a section of the plant that I will eventually cut off. And because it would already grow its own roots, it will just guarantee that the plant will survive because it's already got roots and you're not having to cut off any more leaves. So yeah, air layering is definitely a really good technique, especially for more of your rarer plants or like delicate plants that you do not want to risk from dying. Oh, the one thing that I do want to mention as well, when you, for example, buy cuttings, there's something to take note as well of that when you're taking cuttings, the top cutting can also be different to, for example, the lower leaves. So for example, I have my philodendron silver sword here, and this is the top cutting that I have, and it's from this cutting here. So not with all plants, but some plants, for example the cheese plant or even the silver sword that are maturer, because when these leaves are maturer the leaf actually changes shape. And definitely with the cheese plants, like you'll have fenestrations and holes. It doesn't exactly matter for this one, it's still such a juvenile plant, but basically when you're taking a top cutting, say for example this one has fenestrations in the leaves, which are the holes in the leaves that cheese plants commonly have, it will continue with the fenestrations because it is the maturer half of the plant. But when you, for example, cut the lower leaves, like for example this one, you can see that this is the top of the stem, so it's not the top cutting. The new growth that it will grow, you can see there's a new growth point here, so this will essentially, this is going to be a baby leaf that will grow, so it will be quite a juvenile new leaf. It won't just grow with like fenestrations or the mature leaves that they may grow into. So yeah, just be aware of that if you're buying cuttings. Some leaves have different states when they're mature or juvenile, and if you are buying a top cutting, it will obviously continue to grow in that shape and size, but when you're growing from the lower leaves, it will definitely grow as a smaller juvenile leaf. So yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind. Okay, I think I'm going to film this as a 2-part video, but before I finish I want to show you my Calathea white fusion that I have divided. So Not all plants can take cuttings and just root them in water. As easy and amazing and convenient as it is, unfortunately not all plants can just root in water and make cuttings. So calatheas, for example, they propagate via division. So that means once the plant is well established in itself, it will grow as separate division where it will grow like another plant. Yeah, if you can see here, like you can see that there are loads of different sections. So this means cutting them at the root ball and literally just snipping them apart, making sure that there are roots here. So you can see like I've had to cut them just and make sure that their roots are still attached and have as many roots attached to the root ball as possible. I filmed a separate video on this just because I had to do it a few days ago before I was ready to film this video. So I have managed to film it and I will show you. Look how beautiful this is, it's actually incredible. This is my little workstation where I do literally all my potting. And it is always messy. Right, so I'm just going to ease it out of its nursery pot. The roots look really good. God, look at that. It's literally like watercolour. It's like painting. Right, I'm just going to separate it out, move away as much soil as I can. Oh, it's going to be so sad cutting this up. It's such a beautiful plant. But it means I'll get more, so... Oh, this is going to hurt to cut. I already know it. We have one! Here's my second. Okay, this one was much harder to cut. Let's see what I cut. Okay. Then we have this. This one looks amazing. That's a nice big bushy one. So that's literally 4 different plants. Oh, that hurt. That literally hurt. Hurts to see, it really does. But now I have 5 plants, so can I complain? No, I can't. 5 different plants, all from one. Let me tell you, it is the saddest thing to have to cut it, especially because calatheas being prayer plants, they move up and down, especially when they're sad. They kind of like close up, and as I was cutting this I could really see it was just closing up and like feeling sorry for itself. And as far as I'm aware, I think this is with all calatheas. Yeah, I think this is with all the calatheas that I have that I've also had to divide up. But here we are. I have them in sphagnum moss, just kind of making sure that their roots are healthy and okay, but they've all the divisions have really good roots, so I'm definitely not worried at all. But look at how incredible this is. Like, just the leaves are amazing. Okay, I think I'm definitely going to film a 2-part video of this, and I'll talk about alocasia corms, just other ways of rooting your plants, and wet sticks too, which I'm kind of just getting the hang of. But yeah, I hope this video was informative. It's a really good way of sharing plants and just giving cuttings to your friends and family. I think it's a really rewarding thing to grow plants from a cutting. Like growing my China rose into a big tree from a tiny cutting like this, like it's amazing because you know, like I did this myself. This tree, it's mine. Like it's like watching a baby grow. Well, at least these are my babies. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you make more plants.